everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and you are at the World Docs virtual user group meeting for, gosh, is it already June 2014? Not just June 2014, but gosh, is it already June 2014? And today we are going to talk about the Audit Trail, which many of you may have never even heard of. It's a way to track things and who's doing what. And quick profiles. Mary Jo's going to talk to you about the Audit Trail and how to access this information, how to set it up. And I'm going to talk to you about saving time when you're profiling documents by already having quick profiles set up for certain things that you profile over and over and over again. But first, a little bit of housekeeping. This is the go-to webinar control panel that you may or may not be looking at right now. If you're not looking at it right now, it probably means you're a veteran attendee and you are already got it out of the way. And the way to get it out of the way is to click on this little button that looks like an arrow pointing to the right. That button, when clicked, will cause this big thing to slide out of the way right off your screen. And when that happens, this button will turn into one that looks more like an arrow pointing to the left, meaning that if you want to get this control panel back, you can click it when it's looking like an arrow pointing to the left, and this control panel will come back. Why would you want to get it to come back? Well, because you have a question and you're shy. And so for those of you who are shy and don't want to speak out loud, you can type a question right here. Don't forget to hit send. Leanne, our humble and comfortable moderator, will interrupt me or Mary Jo at the appropriate time, ask your question on your behalf, and remember, if you have follow-up questions or if we're headed down the wrong path in answering your question, please type the additional questions here, continue to type them, and remember to hit send each time you type a new question, and Leanne will continue to ask your question until you've got it fully answered. If you're not feeling shy and you have a question, you might try this button. People do every once in a while. This one that looks like a button that looks like a hand with an arrow pointing upwards in front of it means raise your hand. And if you'll raise your hand, Leanne will notice that you have your hand raised. She will again interrupt Mary Jo and I at an opportune time, but instead of asking your question on your behalf, she will unmute you so you can ask your own question. Again, you will continue to be alive, so don't make any disparaging comments or chew potato chips during that time, and you will be able to continue to ask your question or continue to head us in the right direction as we answer your question. And so now, without any further ado, we're going to click this button and this button, maybe that button, and maybe this button. And we're going to ask Mary Jo to wiggle her mouse. It's kind of like the Hokey Pokey, only it's the nerd version. And I don't see the mouse wiggling, so I think I've got the wrong person of our staff of humble mouse wigglers set to wiggle their mouse. Try again, Mary Jo. Okay, one more time. Now we're going to try this one. I don't even think I had anybody wiggling their mouse before. Hold on one second. Try it one more time, Mary Jo.
Not moving.
Not moving?
No, it has not said I can take the mouse.
Really?
Really?
How about now?
Mm-mm.
Well, according to this, keyboard and mouse have been granted to both Attorney Computer Systems. Are you in here as an organizer?
I am.
Hold on one second. Yeah.
There are three. I have three.
Give keyboard or mouse. That's me. Yeah, according to this, you have keyboard or mouse. Can you?
There we go. Yep.
There we go. Now she's got it. Okay, Mary Jo, take it away.
Never mind our technical difficulties. We are good. All right, we're going to continue our discussion on WorldDocs admin, and today I'm going to talk about that audit trail. A lot of, like Paul said, a lot of people don't know that this exists, and you might want to know, for example, if somebody deleted a document or someone, opened it or changed it or any kinds of things that you would like to track. You can do that in the audit trail. So I'm going to open the WD admin, and I don't think that you had it open already, did you, Paul?
I did not.
All right, so we're just going to go into the WD admin program. And again, if you're an administrator, this is probably out on an icon on your desktop, and if not, it's in the World Docs folder. So you just go out to that root drive where the World Docs folder is and just type WD admin, and it'll get you down to this exe to open. Once we have that open, you're going to get this little administrator box here. And here is the audit trail, and this is where you can actually configure it, and then you can run audits on different documents from here, and you also can run them directly from World Docs, and I'll show you both ways to do that. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to actually configure this so that it can run audit trails on documents. So to do that, we just click on Audit Trail, and we select Configure. Now we've got ours set up already. So I'm going to just show you right now. We've got the C drive, so we can navigate out there, and I'll show you what that window looks like. But the C drive is going to be where all the personal files are, those user files that go into their regular directory. So you can actually audit those as well. And then the T drive, for our example, is where our World Docs, our WDocs folder is, where we have all the documents stored. Now yours might be the X drive, it might be the S drive, it might be the T drive. You have to just know where that is at, and you can navigate out there. So I'm going to add a database just so I can show you this. So here for the resource path, this is where we're going to go navigate out to that World Docs folder, and it's actually the WDocs folder that we're looking for. That's where the documents are. So we browse, and then you can go out to wherever that is located on your network. In our case, it's on the T drive, and if I open my T drive and scroll down, here's my WDocs. So I can choose that, and that's where it's getting that T:\WDocs. That's where those documents live. So I would say OK. Now for the data path, I can just type in, and if you look at how mine was in here before, it's just a dot, meaning the World Docs directory, \, and just type in the word audit. And oops, it's not typing my stuff in here. Dot. There we go. \, and then audits. Good grief, I can't even spell today. Audits. There we go. And then you would just say OK, and that is going to create that directory so that then those documents in that directory can be audited. Now, in my WDocs folder, we have several different profile groups. We have clients, we have office, we have oh gosh, all kinds of different folders. And you may have the same kind of a structure. You might have your client documents, you might have your accounting documents, you might have your admin documents, things like that. That's fine. It's just you want to navigate out to that, or that root, the T:\, and it will encompass all of the documents in any of those profiles underneath. And then you probably will want to include the C if you want to also audit those other files. So once you've added all of your databases, then you can come in, and if you look under Audit, we can do Events. And here it gives us some very specific things that we can start to look for. We can give it a date range, and it has all kinds of nice shortcuts in here. So you can do 30 days ago all the way, and there's actually more, on or after, today, yesterday. They give you all kinds of different pre-options in here that you can just choose. And pretty much everything, I think, is covered. So you can go through there through whatever day that you want to do. And again, there's a bunch of pre-determined ones in here, or you could probably type in what you want as well. You can also say which profile group that you want to run this audit on for this particular one, so it doesn't have to search everything. So in this case, we'll do a client file. And then you even can search different profile fields. If you want to know if certain fields have changed or things like that, or who the author is or whatever, you can search different things on there and pick and choose. In this case, I'm also going to do a doc ID because we have a I don't know what you want to call it. We've chosen one ahead of time.
We've chosen a lucky document to be included.
Yeah, there we go. And do I need the leading zeros, Paul? I'm trying to remember.
You do not.
Okay, so I'm just going to type in the document ID, which is 22793, and that's the document that I want to do. Now, I also can search specific users. If I want to know if what's happened with a certain user on this document, what has this user done to it or changed or whatever, I can actually choose a user, or I can even choose an event. So I can come in and say, I want to know if this document was added, if it was deleted, if it was profiled, if it was moved from somewhere, if it was printed. There are a ton of different things in here that you can actually track. So anything in here we could pick. So if we only want one specific thing or two specific things, we can check it all, or we can just leave it as everything. So I'm just going to say OK and see what we come back with on this document. So I can see that it was moved to a certain document ID and a different profile here on 6/8, and I can also see that on 6/16 it had been opened, which was today. So Paul had opened that document and launched it. So right now I'm showing all activity for all users on here for up to 30 days ago through today. Now if I wanted to expand that search and make it farther back, I could probably see when it was created and all of that. So you have a lot of power here in what you can choose and what you can do in World Docs. So for the audit trail. There is one other button in here for the index. You probably are never going to have to do anything with this, but if for some reason it were to get corrupted or you had to run an index or you needed to do something to get those files back in line or the audit trail, you can index here. There is a test index, so you can actually run a test real quick and make sure that everything's in there and it's testing okay. If you actually did have to re-index, you can pick and choose which one that you wanted to do, and then you can actually run a begin index, and it just re-indexes everything to make sure it's all in line. But again, you probably are never going to have to do that. Now the other place that I want to show you that you can audit or run audits for the audit trail is actually in World Docs. And like I said, most of the time you're probably going to be in WD admin running it from here if you're an administrator. And if you're not, you still can have users run that as well. So up here on the toolbar we have an audit button as well. And in here you can choose that you want to do a file or a search. So we can, and I think we have to actually be in something. So I'm going to go out here to Purdue Law. And we are going to bring up our document. I probably could have just put that in and searched faster, but that's okay. And here's my document. So if I want to run the audit, I've got it on, my document is highlighted, and I'm going to click on File. And again, I've got some parameters here that I can run and see all of the things. Now, I haven't even changed anything, and it's just launching what has happened in here. It's up to 90 days ago. So that is a place that you can also run a quick audit trail on documents. There is a search feature. So here, if if I ran the file, it's just doing predetermined. Here, I can actually change those parameters, and I can run that and do a search for any of the criteria I choose. And the last thing in here is just a notify. And
this is a feature of the what's it called?
I know, I just left my mind too. It's the productivity suite where you can, it's not chat, I can't think of the name of it either, but you can actually notify people of that. So as I crash and burn, I'm going to go turn it over to Paul so he can finish his side. But that's the audit trail. Were there any questions on that, Leanne?
No, Mary Jo, there were no questions.
All right, take it away, Paul.
Stop chuckling to yourself. Okay, well, that's the audit trail. It's very useful, and now, like Mary Jo said, not a lot of people know about this. It's great for finding documents that may have been deleted or maybe sitting in the salvage bin, or finding out who may have done something to a document that shouldn't have been done to it. I actually have one firm that uses it to see what documents were printed by the attorneys so they can make sure that they're billing for the work on the documents. Not, in my mind, the best way to use the audit trail, but it's kind of an innovative way to use it. So a lot of different things you can do there. Now I'm going to talk, Mary Jo talked about finding documents and auditing and looking for them that way. I'm going to talk about making it quick to save documents. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into World Docs, and I'm going to show you, actually I'm going to go first over here to Word, and I'm also going to pull up an email. And I am going to take with this email about Tuesday, and I'm going to move it to World Docs. Actually, I'm going to copy it to World Docs because I don't want to get rid of it. Actually, I'm going to go down to my deleted items. I'm going to find some junk email, and I'm going to go in and send that to World Docs. So here's that same email about Tuesday. I'm going to copy this to World Docs, and I have set up some quick profiles over here for my email. George is our subcontractor that does all of our programming for custom reports, so he's got his own. We have a certain couple clients in here that we deal with a lot. Tom is somebody that I deal with a lot. Other client. These are all quick profiles. Now you'll notice these fields are not filled in. This is how we, of course, identify the client, the matter, the doc type. It's taken an email, so it's already got the description, which is the subject. And it's always, our system is set up to automatically put in the user as the author and typist. So if I click on Other Client, it knows that the matter is going to be 00 because all of our matters are 00. And then I can simply go here and type Purdue. So, well, I have to wait for it to find it. So what I did by clicking on Other Client is I pre-filled these two fields. Now, let's say that I want to click on George. George's emails to and from George do not get saved in the client files. They get saved over in a separate email file area. So when I do that, it already automatically took and changed the profile group to email and changed the folder to George. Let's say that it's Tom. It automatically, again, changed the profile group to email, changed the folder to Tom. Let's say it's Lewis. It changed it back to client files, set it to that particular client and email, filled in all these fields, and finally unclassified is an email kind of classification for unclassified stuff. It's just a place where I put all the stuff that doesn't have another place to put it because I journal all my sent items. So these quick profiles are kind of like shortcuts. They're kind of like a way to say, hey, this belongs here and I don't want to have to go here and type Lewis and fill in 00 and type email. I just want it to pop up. Now, how do you set those up? Well, the very first one you do, you can simply come in here, create a new one, select where it goes, figure out who it is. Let's say we wanted to create one for Purdue Law Offices. So I'm going to find Purdue Law Offices. It's already client files. Matter will be 0. Type will be email. If you put in this asterisk WD user for both author and typist, it'll automatically put in whoever is actually saving the email as the author and typist. Save it. Give it a name. Say OK. And I have just created a new email profile. I already have one. Purdue. I'm going to call it Purdue Law Email because I already have another profile for non-email that I created that I called Purdue Law. And now, when I close this up, bam, there's another email profile called Purdue Law, all ready to go. And when I choose that, it simply changes it to Purdue Law. So you can take and start from the beginning by accessing quick profiles and going into Add, Edit Quick Profiles, or you can just start to journal and email. Let's choose something different. Let's put this with that client. You can simply save as a quick profile. Okay. Now, when you save something as a quick profile, it assumes that you've already filled in all the fields. So if we do that, and give it a name, bam. Now we have another one called Weiner Email. Okay? Now, what about over on this side? Let's take a test document and go to save it. You'll notice that I don't get the same quick profiles that I did when I had the email open. And the reason for that is that an email is one type of a quick profile, and a Word doc and other file type save is a different type of a quick profile. So when I created that Purdue Law over on the other side as an email, I had already created one over here on this side for Word documents. When I created that one for Weiner, you'll notice it doesn't appear here because I'm not saving a Word document. Now, when you create a profile for the Word documents, you do have the ability to type a description, but you're probably going to leave that part of it up to the user when they save the document. So let's create one over here for Weiner. And we will leave doc type alone in this instance because usually when you're saving a Word document, you don't know what type of document it is until you go to save it. So we'll save this as a quick profile. And now we have that one. When we choose it, let's go ahead and cancel this file save. Let's save it again. And once we've selected a profile group, then we get to where we can come in here, click on Weiner, and Weiner's client number and matter number fills in automatically. So that, in a nutshell, is quick profiles. Now, one other thing I want to show you is that if I go over here to Outlook, you'll notice that all of the profiles that I save has email profiles are going to show up under the World Docs folder in my Outlook folder group. So I now have Weiner email right here. And if you've set up your Outlook integration correctly, when you click on Weiner email, you will actually load World Docs with all the Weiner documents. When you click on Purdue Law email, you'll load World Docs with all the Purdue Law documents. And it's important to note that these are not just emails. They are all the documents that are in World Docs for that particular client matter. We have a couple other here. Here's George. And here's Tom. And here's unclassified, the one that I throw all my sent items into that I don't have another place to put. So when you create email-related quick profiles, not the one I created over in Word, but the ones that I created for my emails, they actually show up in Outlook. And I could go to my deleted items, and I could grab this document, or these 3 documents, or this whole group of documents, just by the way that I click. And for those that you don't know, when I simply click on a document, it highlights it. When I control-click on a second document, and third document, and fourth document, it highlights it without highlighting the ones in between. And when I shift-click on a document, a second one, it highlights it plus all the ones in between it and the other one that was highlighted. So with these email profiles created, quick profiles created, I could choose these 5 emails, drag them over here, let go, and they would be moved to World Docs all at once, classified using the quick profile that I dragged them onto. Using the word classified and dragging them to an unclassified profile group was probably not a good choice. But if I were to drag these all to Weiner email, I would be saying all 5 of these emails belong in World Docs profiled for Weiner. That is a quick exposure to quick profiles, both for Word documents and other types of files versus emails, and their accessibility from within World Docs during the save and also from Outlook. Any questions, Leanne?
There are no questions, Paul.
There are no questions. Okay. Now, next month we're going to talk about integration. As you know, World Docs pops up when you go to save anything. Doesn't matter what it is. Now, if you have a situation where it's not popping up, and it should be, which it probably should, that's just because the integration hasn't been turned on for that program or it hasn't been hooked in properly. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to be talking about the indexer and how you can keep tabs on it, how you can monitor it, and most importantly, how you can monitor it without having to be in front of the indexer. And while I'm thinking about these things, I'm going to actually go out to the website, which is attorneycomputersystems.com, attorneycomputersystems.com. And when we get there, I just want you to know that we have a place for these World Docs virtual user group meetings. When we click on it, it takes us to registration for the current one, the one that's currently approaching, or the one we're doing right now. You can simply click on this or that to go register, and then underneath you're going to have all the other recorded versions of all the other webinars or virtual user group meetings that we've had for World Docs. Same thing is true for Practice Master and tabs 3. We also have our monthly webinar series that we call the Coffee Pot Webinars. Mary Jo has her exciting eBite video series with little 3, 4, 5-minute snippets of information about a very specific thing. And we have the Paul and Mary Jo show, where we take a certain topic and really get into it in great detail. So all this video content is available for you on our website, attorneycomputersystems.com. I gave the topics for next month. I guess I'm done. Everybody have a great rest of the afternoon, and we will see you in a month. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.